Okay, good evening. Welcome. Let's call this meeting to order. It's 6:02. Welcome to the Summerlin Library. Today is October 8, 2020, Thursday, 6:02. Pursuant to the government's emergency directive, we're holding the meeting either online or in person. There's a limited number of seating. If you'd like to make any comments, please visit https://LVCCLD.org board, and you can send in your comments for the beginning of the meeting or the end of the meeting. At this time, Ms. Ellison, may I have roll call?
Chair Ortiz.
Present.
Trustee Bilbray Axelrod.
Here.
Trustee Benavides.
Here.
Trustee Wadley Munet. Trustee Foyt.
Here.
Trustee Francis Drake. Trustee Melendrez.
Here.
Trustee Raymaker.
Here.
Trustee Rogers.
Here.
Trustee Wilson.
Here.
You have a quorum, Chair Ortiz.
Thank you very much. Will everybody please stand? Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Trustee Robin Wadley Munet. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Thank you for those that are online, and thank you for those that are present. At this time, we have public comment, and topics raised in this item must be limited to matters on today's agenda. If you wish to comment an item appearing on this agenda, you may send it to boardcomments@lvccld.org, boardcomments@lvccld.org. Please identify yourself for the comment, and you'll be limited to no more than 3 minutes.
There are no public comments at this time, Chair Ortiz.
Thank you very much. Everybody has the agenda in front of them. So at this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to accept the proposed agenda for possible action. Who would like to make the motion?
So moved.
So moved by Brian Wilson. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second, I'm sorry, you have second by Senator Raymaker, and you have a question. Go ahead. Please turn on your microphone and get it close to you. Thank you.
Allison said I didn't need a microphone.
Thank you.
She's odd.
I'm old. Thank you.
All right, we went around the room and we, went around the table and listed different things that we wanted on the agenda, and I don't see any of those. And I dittoed on 2 of those. I said ditto, and when other people already said it, there's one point in me saying it. So I'm just kind of wondering.
Okay, thank you very much. Very good observation. I take full responsibility under our trustee bylaws and policies. It does say very clearly that the library board chair shall establish a library board meeting agenda for each meeting. And so I do apologize. I will make sure going forward that we do that correctly and include items that people request either as a report or action for possible report for possible action. Okay, so that's my fault. I'll take responsibility for that. Any other trustees' comments on the proposed agenda? Okay. Second the motion by Robin Wadley Munet. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Excuse me, Chair Ortiz. I'm so sorry. I thought Trustee Wilson made the motion to accept the agenda.
I'm sorry. You're right. Trustee Wilson made the motion to accept the agenda. Senator Raymaker seconded. Sorry. And then Trustee Robin Wadley Munet had a question. And we addressed your question, Robin? Okay, thank you so much. Okay, and I believe everybody voted in favor. Okay, thank you very much. And hearing Brian's request, today we have a presentation discussion of the Employee Nevada Business Hub at the Sahara West Library by Jaime Cruz, Executive Director of Workforce Connections. Mr. McAnally, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Good evening, Chair Ortiz, Board of Trustees, Mr. James, and Council Welch. Thank you. I'm not Jaime Cruz. You'll hear from him in just a bit. For the record, my name is Matt McNally, Community Engagement Director. Tonight we'll hear a presentation regarding the launch of a renovated space at the Sahara West Library. It is now dubbed the Employee NV Business Hub. This presentation will be given in just a few minutes by Jaime Cruz, who is the Executive Director of Workforce Connections. At the April 28, 2020 Board of Trustees meeting, a verbal presentation about this concept was discussed. Authorization was given for the Library District to engage Workforce Connections and extend an existing memorandum of understanding to continue providing one-stop delivery system services throughout the Library District. All 5 of our current one-stops focus on job seekers. Tonight you'll hear about the newest, soon-to-be one-stop, which is specifically designed to serve employers. A 2,650 square foot multifunctional space adjacent to the lobby in Sahara West Library was renovated over the past few months at a total investment of $315,000, paid for by Workforce Connections. Additionally, Workforce Connections will invest an annual ongoing operating cost of $300,000, which allows 5 staff members to work in the business hub and serve the community. That figure is a little bit different than what was on your background agenda item, but the $300,000 covers the 5 salaries. Some examples of free services can include assistance with licensing, certification, space for hiring workers, state-of-the-art technology for conducting conferences and trainings, and connecting entrepreneurs to microloaners, along with space for conducting industry events. So Workforce Connections recently launched a similar business hub at the Metro Chamber of Commerce. I'm proud to announce that we will launch the Sahara West Library location as of October 21st. Invitations for that event will be sent out shortly. Now, some key staff from the Library District who helped make this possible include Acting Deputy Director Daniil Milam, Sahara West Library Branch Manager Lorinda Soto, and Programming Specialist Gene Smith, Assistant General Services Director John Vino and his team under General Services Director Steve Rice, Systems and Network Supervisor Gunnar Kim and his team under Information Technology Director Al Prendergast, and Director Betsy Ward and her staff in branding and marketing. Other staff from Workforce Connections, including their partners and their contractors, also helped make this concept a reality. So here to tell you more about the project, the renovation, the space, the services, is Executive Director of Workforce Connections, Mr. Jaime Cruz. And Mr. Cruz is appearing virtually this evening. Jaime, I'll turn it over to you.
Hi, thank you, Matt, for the introduction. It is my pleasure again to appear before this board. Thank you for driving the slide for me. So if we could go to slide, the next slide, please. Thank you. Next slide. If you would back up one, please. I just wanted to let you know that I'm going to be quick. I want to keep this for 10 minutes. I want to speak briefly about our partnership and then give you a walkthrough of this new center, a virtual walkthrough, and describe a little bit about the services. So next slide, please. So when you met us almost 4 years ago when we entered into our partnership, you found out that we as the local Workforce Development Board convene a large workforce development system. Next slide, please. This is a picture, if you will, of the 17 mandated partners in this system that brings about $120 million to Southern Nevada. Now, Workforce Connections does not administer all of that money. We administer about 1/5, somewhere between 20 and 25 million annually. So one of those slots in there, one of those globes is us. It's labeled WIOA Title I. You can also see in there a WIOA Title II, which is money that comes to the libraries for adult education and family literacy. And there's other 15 examples. Next slide, please. This gives you kind of a visual of how that money is divvied up. If you look at that, again, the column on the left, you'll see that 20% comes to us to administer Title I. 23% goes to the state labor agency, which is DETR, which administers 6 of those 17 funding streams. Then you have the Department of Education, DHHS, and others. Next slide, please. So again, I want to say one more time how grateful we are for this partnership, how proud we are of this partnership. When we met you, we only had one comprehensive one-stop center on the corner of Charleston and Torrey Pines. That meant that people had to travel from Boulder City, from North Las Vegas, from as far as Mesquite and Laughlin to this one-stop center. But the brilliant part about this partnership is that now you provide the infrastructure, the buildings, the utilities, you cover all that cost that we could not cover in the past and set up shop in those places, and we bring the staff. And so now the communities in Mesquite and Laughlin and places that did not have the services before, they have them. And that's why this partnership is not only unique, but now being looked at nationwide. Next slide, please. And I would also say, I guess I don't want to forget this, that your impact as a board goes way beyond just the Las Vegas, Clark County geographic jurisdictions. Because of your example, because of your leadership, other library districts like from Henderson, North Las Vegas, and Boulder City follow in this example. So it's not just Las Vegas and Clark County that now have these services. Southern Nevadans and the other municipalities have them as well. But it takes leadership to take the first step, and that's what Las Vegas, Clark County Library District did. So thank you for partnering with us. But today I'm here to talk to you about this new center. Why does it have a new name? Why isn't it called One Stop Career Center? Because these centers are different. They're focused on the employer. And again, we here in Southern Nevada, the first thing we think about is the large corporations on the Strip. But the reality is that the economic engine of our region is driven by small businesses with 50 employees or less. And so we are going to have a strong focus on small businesses here in these hubs. Again, as you heard, one of them has already had a virtual opening at the Vegas Chamber, and this next one is opening on the 21st. As Matt said, I cannot tell you how easy and pleasant it is to work with your team, from Fred and Daniel and Matt and John, all the way down to the people at the library location itself, like Dorinda, Jean, and their team. You just have a fantastic team, and for me, no relationship is perfect. There's always wrinkles that we find, but we always are able to work them out in a way that really has the customer in mind and not us ourselves in the center. So next slide, please. So why do we need these hubs? A few months ago when the pandemic hit, we heard from too many of these small businesses that they were struggling. They were just struggling to hold on. We met restaurant owners that had switched over from dine-in to curbside pickup and delivery, and they were taking out loans to keep paying their people. And so we launched a program in partnership with all of the chambers of commerce in our area, the Vegas Chamber, Latin Chamber, Urban Chamber, Asian Chamber, and so on, and the Las Vegas Global Economic Alliance, our regional economic development agency, to identify businesses with less than 50 people, small businesses, less than 50 employees, to deploy what we call the layoff aversion pilot. Because when people got laid off, things got worse. People weren't getting their unemployment insurance check. It was taking weeks. And so we wanted to avert more layoffs. And so we dedicated almost $1 million to this initiative, and we identified 88 of those small employers, and we kept 330 employees on the payroll and helped those businesses survive. There's a lot of testimonies. If you're interested in seeing them, contact us. Very heartfelt, I think, testimonies that have helped us build tremendous relationships with the business community. And so that is going to be the foundation of these business hubs. So now we're going to go from reactionary mode and just stopping the bleeding to helping these small businesses recover and grow again by helping them hire back their employees. Next slide, please. So again, what can we give for them in these business hubs at no cost to those small mom and pop businesses? No cost recruitment, hiring, and training of their employees. We can also give them incentives, cash, for hiring Nevadans. We can also, as Matt says, give them access to venture capital, microloans, certification processes. How do you start a business? All the things that a business needs to start or grow, they're going to be able to access this in these business hubs. Next slide, please. So let me take you on a tour. From the first day I walked into this library, this was one of the 5 libraries originally slotted, if you will, for us to build our partnership. the two first were Mesquite and Laughlin. We called that a pilot. And so once we did those, we identified 5 more. And so 3 of those have already been done: East Las Vegas, West Las Vegas, and the Clark County Library near Flamingo in Maryland. And the other 2 that were still something to be left on was Sahara West and West Charleston. So I guess we're almost there on really, going to that finish line. But this library was very unique. It had this space that I was shown pictures from something the staff there, Lorinda and the team at Sahara West, had convened hundreds of people and small businesses to do a industry event there. And they filled those art galleries in these lobbies, just hundreds of people. And so it gave us an idea, this is a way for the library district to nurture their strategic 2020 vision of connecting with the business community, growing the business community, and for us as well to be able to have a showroom for our product, which is the job seeker. So in other words, the employer will come in here, much like we go to a showroom to buy a car. We don't go to the factory where the car is half built and you can see the bolts and the dirty things, and we go to the showroom when that product is ready to take home. And so this is what this is going to be, a place for employers to take that product in its final stage. So as you can see, it starts in that beautiful lobby at Sahara West. We've added some signage there that complements and matches the look of the existing signage. You see a large one there next to the studio sign for the art gallery, and then 2 smaller ones for the 2 entrances to the space. Next slide, please. So again, I cannot tell you, how beautiful the space is. I think you knew that already. This glass gallery used to be a place, I think, where you would host artists that were up and coming, and they would be, if you will, incubated in there in order, hopefully, to grow and to be able to show their stuff in the larger galleries. Next slide, please. So this is the entrance, I think, that is the most appealing to everybody. You can see in there already that there is, by no means is it done. The walls still don't have art. They don't have clocks. It's kind of like a blank canvas. But what you do see is very flexible furniture that will be able to be configured in many ways, again, to host large industry mixers where we bring employers of an industry to mix, to network. Also hiring fairs where we can bring work-ready job seekers to meet with those employers. So it can be, everything's on wheels, everything is reconfigurable, everything is very sleek and business friendly. You can see a very large video wall there that will allow us to do, again, remote workshops, connect with the other hub at the Vegas Chamber, and so forth. And if you watch at the end there, we'll see a tighter shot soon, but you'll see a roll-up door, again, but it was very useful when artists would bring in sculptures and things. And we have always tried to be very good partners. We wanted to bring as little disruption as possible to this space. And so even though there was architectural, if you will, recommendations to get rid of that door, because we did put a new storefront. And if you see behind there, there's a glass door that matches the rest of the entrances to the library. I believe that we want to honor the soul and the heritage of this place, what it was designed for. And so I think it has a really cool retro look, that roll-up door. Again, you can roll up out of the way and you see the beautiful new storefront, or if you can roll it back down, and again, there was minimized disruption. So let's go to the next slide. So this is the entrance, and we'll come back here. Next slide. The next entrance is a little bit, a few steps away, again, closer to the art gallery. You probably recognize there. Next slide, please. You'll see the elevator that goes to the floor, and that door there on the left is the entrance to what I would call the engine room of this business hub. This is where the staff is going to live. So let's walk inside. Next slide, please. One more. Okay, so here you start to see the business hub. Again, walls are blank, still nothing on the walls, but you can start to see that we were very purposeful on the furniture, on the carpet selection. We have a brand new ceiling in there with upgraded lights. We really wanted to tell the business community that this space was designed for them. You see an infrared thermal scanner there to make sure that the people come in. Again, we are obligated to follow the mandates of both the governor and our federal guidelines for social distancing and temperature monitoring to protect the staff and the public. So you'll see that right there. And we'll go and see some more of these features in here. You'll see 2 boxes because we're still unloading. Again, we're still not completely done. Next slide. So again, here you will see the first staff that's, if you will, to be the front face of the operation, and this is one of our business ambassadors. This person will anchor the space, will be there all the time, and will be able to coordinate all the events we've been talking about, attend to walk-in traffic or people that are coming in by appointment. Next slide, please. And so here, what you start to see is we wanted to make sure this space was bright, but also comfortable, which you can see that's very comfortable furniture. So if you're waiting for your appointment, you're comfortable, but it's also going to be a working area. In the back, you will see connections for power and for USB, and we'll have a wireless printer sitting there. And there is a strip still missing there behind that darker sofa that John is going to install this week. So again, this will be a very functional area. It will double as a waiting room and a working room. Next slide, please. Here we have, not every entrepreneur that comes in has its own laptop to connect wireless with our printer and to use that space that we just talked about. So here we will set up 2 full stations with PC and connectivity to printer again. Again, at no cost, an entrepreneur who's coming in with nothing and they have to start from zero, this is where we would set them up to get all the information they need so they can walk away with the printed information to start or grow their business. And you can see that there's ADA compliance here because that desk on the right has an electronic surface that moves up and down. Next slide, please. This is a really exciting piece of this center. It's called a Mediascape Conferencing Center. It's state-of-the-art. I think you guys should one day have either a strategic planning meeting there. I've invited the executive team for the library also to go and test it out because the technology is just the latest, the greatest, and so it will allow us again to have the best collaborative, innovative meetings and collaboration between this and the other business hubs and other locations. Next slide, please. This is an example of where the other business service ambassadors will live. This is those 2 offices that you saw there flanking that Mediascape table. There's actually 3 offices or 3 spaces. 2 of them are offices that hold 4 more staff. Let's go to the next slide. So one will sit there and the other one will sit there, and there's an office just like this one. So 2 plus 2 is 4 plus the one outside. 5 staff will be there. These staff in these offices, they will spend a lot of their time also at the businesses themselves, making sure that they understand the needs of the business. So they'll split their time before being here and being at the businesses themselves. Next slide, please. So this is that 3rd office space. It was a conference room. And again, we understand that some businesses have proprietary information they don't want talked about in front of others. So while the other spaces I've shown you are great, they're collaborative, they're packed with technology, we also have technology on wheels that can be wheeled into any of these spaces. So this just will double again as another space where you can have a more confidential meeting, bring in the technology, but again, make sure the communication is confined to this space. And you can see those little side tables are really great because you can convert from just a regular sofa to a working spot just by sliding those in and out. Next slide, please. There is a kitchenette space that divides the room that we were just in, or the space that we were just in, with the larger glass gallery. But instead of going to the kitchen, let's go back outside. Next slide, please. And let's walk in this beautiful entrance here, again, that is really, really beautiful. Let's go next slide. One more. Okay, so again, when you walk into the space, it really is a bright space. It had a lot of black paint before, and so the architect decided or recommended to go white, and I'm glad he did. It really helped. It really brightened up that room. It went white all the way to the ceilings. There were some windows that were blocked, and we removed that. It's just a beautiful, beautiful space. Again, I encourage you to maybe have one of your future meetings here, and we would be glad to give you a physical tour if that happens. Next slide, please. Another shot of that same room looking out towards the bookstore. Next slide, please. And this space also has if you will, a loft area, a 2nd story area. It's small, but when we are going to have lots of employers, lots of employees, potential employees in these spaces, we're going to need to bring more staff than just the 5 that are housed there. So we made space here for 6 more employees to come and work these large events when we're going to need more help. So it really worked out great. Again, this was a space for they call it, I think, the artist loft. but it's going to be great to support the vision for this business hub. Next slide, please. Again, kind of an aerial view from above, from that loft, that really gives you the perspective of a great open room with lots of natural light. Very, very beautiful. Next slide, please. And the reason for that storefront is very unique because, again, while there's this space was very attractive because it connected to the lobby and the art gallery, and that's where the original idea that gave birth to this was born by Lorinda and her team by filling those art galleries with businesses. We always know we can spill out into the lobby if we coordinate well with the library team. There is an outside area here that this new storefront, if you will, gives us access to. And you can see we even already brought some outdoor furniture, and we can bring more. We also want to paint that space, maybe power wash it. John's going to help us just bring this space up to, if you will, just a level to be able to, in the better weather, make full utilization of this space. Next slide, please. And you can see again how it connects. So that courtyard, if you will, when you open that existing roll-up door, then the people from the outside would have clear access to that new storefront and be able to enter the space right from there. Next slide, please. Again, so we're back to the outside. I'll be glad to answer any questions you might have about the services. But again, I can't thank you as a board enough for being courageous to do things to evolve and to find new effective ways to make sure that your buildings serve the communities, the job seekers, and small businesses. So with that, thank you for this opportunity. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Director Cruz. Trustee Kelly Benavides, did you have any questions for Jaime Cruz or McAnally?
Not necessarily questions, but just a comment. I mean, I'm amazed. I'm blown by, the type of work that you guys have been working on. I mean, obviously, partnerships sometimes don't work out. Obviously, that's not our situation. Our partnership has turned out to be where now we can do things like this. I just want to commend Jaime Cruz because I know he's so innovative and you always think outside the box and, what else can you do? How can you improve it? So with that said, I just want to thank you. I want to, hopefully we can continue to do partnerships like this and hopefully we can do it with other libraries as well. I mean, I don't think there could be enough of these spaces out there, especially in the type of, situation that we're in right now where people are looking for some sort of relief, whether it's, looking for employment or being an employer and looking for employees to come in, qualified employees. So thank you, Jaime. Thank your staff. Thanks the library staff that helped bring this to fruition. Just kudos to all of you.
Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you very much, Trustee Benavides. Vice Chair Shannon Bilbrey-Axelrod, any questions or comments?
I would just say ditto to my fellow trustee Benavides. It's really an incredible space, and I just let us know how we can help you get the word out to our network of folks as well, because very needed right now. And thank you for your hard work.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Trustee Marilyn Francis Drake. Any questions or comments for either one?
Volunteering at the Sahara Library twice a week, I've been watching this evolve, and it is more beautiful in person. Be sure and come to the opening if you can, and welcome you, and look forward to seeing you and your staff maybe twice a week as we volunteer and go past you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Trustee Elizabeth Floyd, any questions or comments for either one?
It's beautiful. I have seen it a bit too. I've been up to the Sahara West Library recently several times, and again watched it evolve. As Francis Drake said, it's impressive what happens when we work together as a community, and this is just one of the things that we do well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Trustee Jose Luis Melendres, any questions or comments for either one?
I just want to say, Jaime, great work. You and your staff, and great work to the library staff. That space looks phenomenal. I look forward to seeing the other ones and what can happen there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Trustee Sandra Raymaker, any questions or comments?
Just thank you. It's a great job.
Thank you very much. Trustee Rogers, any questions or comments?
Just echo what my fellow trustees have said. Just this is great work. I can't wait to see it in person, and I'm looking forward to hearing some of the success stories that emerge from this partnership.
Thank you very much. Trustee Robin Wadley Munoz, any questions or comments?
I just want to thank Mr. Cruz again for an outstanding job, his vision, his ingenuity, and you always outdo yourself each time, Mr. Cruz, and I'm proud to be on a board that is able to have the library space to allow this to happen, because I think this is going to be a major turning point for entrepreneurs here in the Valley, and we can bring in bigger and better businesses to come. And what a beautiful facility you and the management there have put together, and I'm very pleased and proud, and thank you very much for you and all the people that have been involved. I think it's going to be phenomenal, and I look forward to a retreat there.
Thank you very much. Trustee Brian Wilson, any questions or comments for either one?
Not at this time, thank you.
Thank you. I have a comment, but Director, did you have any questions or final comments?
I do, Mr. Chair. I just want one final comment. Again, thank you to all. I wanted to share, if you gave me the next slide, please. I do want to come back one day with some success stories that are already happening. At the Vegas Chamber, a few of the businesses from that layoff aversion pilot are hiring again. And so they're at the Chamber right now getting employees, and we are helping to pay for half of the wages of the new employees for the first few weeks of employment. So again, really helping small businesses. We can't wait to come and share stories like that from the Sahara West to your next meeting. And then in case, you had any doubt that you had picked a good partner to partner with, I wanted to share with you something we're very proud of. Every year, the National Association of Workforce Boards, or NOB for short, there is 550 local boards like Workforce Connections across the county. And every year, all of us hope to win the Lori Moran Partnership Award, which is given to the board that best advances workforce and economic development in their region, and is given to a board that partners with a chamber of commerce like the Vegas Chamber. So I wanted to share with you that, sometimes a board has to wait 550 years. That's half a millennium. So, we are very grateful that this year the NOB bestowed on us this award. I think it's because, again, of all the hard work that's going on, because of partnerships like this one with the library. And so, again, just very proud to share with you that we are the recipients of that award. And again, thank you to all for being our partners.
Thank you very much, Jaime. First of all, this year has been all over the place, and businesses have to find a way to do it differently, find a way to stay relevant, find a way to stay afloat financially. So first of all, I want to thank the board here for taking on this partnership a couple of years ago. But most importantly, Jaime, fantastic job. This is something that our community needs, and will continue to need, so that those who have a business can still continue to function. Those that have a dream can meet their challenge and find their dream. Thank you again.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. So that moved us a little bit off of the agenda. Thank you. Our next item is the chair's report. I'm sorry, we approved the minutes already, right?
No, we have not.
Okay.
No, we haven't.
Okay. Okay, may I have a motion, entertain a motion to approve the minutes?
This is Jose. Motion to approve the minutes.
Is there a second?
Second from Trustee Rogers.
I have some.
Okay, hang on a second. Second, Trustee Rogers. Okay, is there any corrections?
I have two
changes?
items that I feel were left out of the minutes, and they were important to me.
Okay, Trustee Elizabeth Foyt, go ahead. What items need to be corrected?
Okay. I asked for a review of legal services contract or how they are funded, an actual review where we got to discuss. I did not leave this as an open-ended issue. I asked for it to be on the October agenda. I was very clear about that, and there were other board members that spoke up in support of that. There also was no mention in the minutes of the motion which passed by our board that basically constituted an admonition that no employee be involved in the hiring process of our executive director, of the new one. And there is no mention of that either. in minutes. I find the idea of editing unattractive. I also find it disrespectful to anyone who serves on this board. So I would ask that those items be put back where they belong in the minutes of our September 10th meeting.
Thank you very much. Does anybody else have any corrections for the minutes of September 10th? Okay, the maker of the motion, Mr. Melendres, will you entertain a correction, the motion to include the corrections as submitted by Trustee Elizabeth Foyt?
Yes, let him go forward. Thank you.
Thank you. So we will amend the motion to include the corrections as submitted by Trustee Elizabeth Foyt. And Trustee Foyt, you'll get together with Ms. Allison to make sure we get the correct wording.
Most certainly. Thank you. Thank
Okay.
you for the time to let me speak.
Thank you. Is that correct, Jerry? Did I do that correct? Okay. Are there any other questions or comments? Okay, all in favor with the amendment to that motion to approve the regular board minute meetings of September 10th, 2020? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay, anybody opposed? Okay, thank you. Motion carries. Thank you very much. So thank you very much. Like anything else, it goes very quick. So thank you, Trustee Foyt, for reminding us so that we are correct in that. Chair's report. What I'd like to talk about at this time is that our search for executive director. Boy, this is trying to unravel a noodle, if I can use that analogy, is really has been a challenge for me. Many people are brighter than me. I'm sure they would have gotten this sooner. But so what's happening is that we are in requesting a search for an executive director. The search has already begun, and I believe it's still open for those individuals that are applying. So not getting into that minutia, I asked our legal counsel, Jerry Wilt, on a legal analysis on how that process works, since we are a governing board, a public governing board, and his analysis, and you correct me, Jerry, was basically the director is a public officer. As such, as a public officer, the board has to make the selection, and that's pretty simple, 2 + 2. But then after that, when do you make it? How do you do that? How do you do the interviews? So the process is going to be that we're going to invite however many applicants rise to the top, and we're going to invite them all in one day to come to Las Vegas. And what will happen is we'll have a holding room or a bullpen. And so the first applicant that out of the top, however many that is, I forget the number, 5 to 7 maybe, they will come out. We'll have 10 questions, 10 different questions. The same questions will be asked of everybody. So it's a fair process. And then the other applicants will be in different rooms, so they will not be able to log on and hear the answers, because it would be unfair for them to be online, hear the answers, and then correct their answers when they come up. So that prevents any tainting, if you will, of the process. And so we'll probably have to do that in 1 day or 2 days max. And again, they'll all be called in one by one. We'll spend probably 2 hours on each one, 10 questions. Each one will work on those questions. So that, please be here. You don't have to be here, but we'd love for you to be here so you can participate. We do need a quorum. And at that point, then 2 people will be selected to be invited to come back in January so we can select between the two finalists. And so, and that's because of our NRS requirements for open meeting laws. That's also our legal analysis per NRS that the director is a public officer, and that all of our meetings and discussions regarding a director have to be in an open meeting. Attorney General, Legal Counsel Jerry Wilt, did I miss anything?
No, if I just add that the Attorney General in the open meeting public records law makes it fairly clear that that is our primary responsibility, and it has to take place in an open meeting.
Thank you very much. So apparently this is not new. this board in 1998 went through this, whoever was around back then. And so this is not anything new. So having said that, let's start a real quick comment. Brian Wilson, did you have any questions or comments on the process? Trustee Wilson?
Since I wasn't here, how was our last director interviewed and hired?
I believe the last director, and Shannon, please correct me if I'm wrong, we hired a company. They brought forward the top applicants. They selected for us, and then we picked out of the top two applicants.
I'd like to just ask for clarification with Ron. You just said that 1998 was the last time we had open meeting interviews.
No, that's when somebody, that's when somebody for us not having.
Oh, thank you.
And Trustee Shannon, Bill Axelrod, did I miss anything on that?
We actually brought in the top three.
Okay.
Getting a lot of feedback here.
Thank you. Robin Wadley-Munoz, you were here. Did we miss anything on the way I represented the last director's interview? Turn on your microphone, please.
I was fairly new, but no, you're correct about that. But the motion was made in this board meeting that we would bring in a minimum of 3 candidates for the finalists, up to 5, because I remember that we went back. I was the one that wanted 5, and Mr. Trustee Wilson made the motion, and it was approved that it would be minimum 3 and up to 5. So we can't just be the 2 top finalists. It has to be 3.
So 3 finalists is what I'm looking at, because then we're interviewing everybody already.
Yeah, it has to be 3 that we bring in.
Well, we're going to bring all of them to interview, and then for the final
top
interview,
3 will be brought back.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
That was the motion.
Thank you. Shannon Bilbrey-Axelrod, do you have any questions or comment, Vice Chair, on the process?
No, I don't know if you could hear me before, but in the last process, we brought in the top 3 as well.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Rogers, do you have any questions or comments on the process?
I just want to make sure I heard you correctly that when we bring all the candidates here, whatever that count is for round 1, that's a public meeting, and then when we bring the finalists back, that'll be a public meeting as well. Is that correct?
Everything's in public. That is correct.
Thank you. No questions.
Thank you. Trustee Sandra Raymaker, did you have any questions or comments on the process?
No, from what I understand, though, I believe that this will also be done. It could be done as part of its going. Please, Sandy, get the words out. Virtual, because of some. I understand there will be some that aren't available to come in, so it'll be both virtual and in person.
We're gonna try to get them here, because if it's virtual, they can log in and listen to the questions, and it wouldn't be fair to the other applicants.
I really meant, so I was thinking of it being the board being virtual.
Oh, no, the board can be virtual. Yes, the board can be virtual. Thank you. Any more questions or comments? Okay. Trustee Elizabeth Foyt, any questions or comments?
And we're still targeting correctly December 3rd and 4th?
We'll have a discussion on that in a second. Well, actually, let's talk about that right now. Is December 3rd and 4th okay with, anybody have any objections to those dates? Well, let me go down the list. Trustee Kelly Benavides, do you have any objections with those dates?
3rd and 4th, Thursday and Friday?
Yes.
I think I should be fine with those 2 dates. I'm free.
Okay, Vice Chair Shannon Bilbrey-Axelrod, do you have any objections with those dates?
I have it on my calendar already.
Okay, Trustee Elizabeth Foyt, do you have any objections with those dates?
No, they're fine.
Thank you. Trustee Jose Luis Melendez, do you have any objections with those dates, December 3rd and 4th?
No, I've already blocked them out. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Sandra Raymaker, do you have any questions on those dates? And then you can do it virtually also.
Yeah, my only situation is on the 3rd, I have 2 previous meetings that I'm committed to. One, yeah. But other than that, I can participate. But
okay.
I'm trying to work on those, but I don't see how one can, because it's a regular type board like this.
Thank you. Yes. Okay, Dr. Rogers, do you have any objections with those dates?
I don't have any objections, but I do have conflicts on the 3rd, so I have 4 meetings scheduled for that day. I'll see if I can move some of them and attend, but I'll do my best.
Okay, we'll try to work real hard to get everybody on one date. Robin Wadley Munier, trustee, do you have any objections or comments on those dates? Okay, very good. Trustee Wilson, any questions or comments on those dates?
No, I just asked that Allison send out an actual calendar invite, so any changes to it come through.
Okay, so basically it'll be, thank you very much. Did I miss anybody? Sorry, Marilyn Francis Drake. Are you okay with the dates? Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. So let's go back. So the date is okay. Let's go back. Trustee Marilyn Francis Drake, did you have any questions or comments on the process?
No, I didn't have any questions on that, but with the first part you talked about getting a set of questions. Is that coming up?
Yes.
Okay, never mind.
So we're going to have, for it to be a valid interview, we can't go all over the place and ask different questions to different people. They have to be the same to all of them. And so we'll work directly with the individual, and remind me, Fred, the search group? Jane Weismer, with Jane Weismer, who will help us formulate those questions. They're for your eyes only. Sorry, union president and everybody else, you don't get to see them ahead of time. And so they're questions from us to them, because the director is our employee and our employee only. So, okay.
I had a question.
Sure, go ahead, Trustee Foyt.
Okay. We're going to bring in basically the semifinalists, the group of 10, and then from then we'll winnow down. So we'll have approximately 10 to 15 people or 10 to 15 trips that we will subsidize.
No, my understanding is in our last conversation, it would be we would interview the top 5 to up to 5 to 7. My understanding is probably 100 applicants.
Right, but
and so up to the
previously I thought I heard 10 in there.
That was me who said I'd like to see a pool of 10,
okay.
But that's not what we agreed upon. And you can correct me if I'm wrong.
And Jane, our search person, headhunter, will be notifying them that these are the dates that we would be doing the interview, and this should be fairly soon. What happens if we have someone who is a good candidate but cannot be here on those dates?
That sounds like not an issue for us to be concerned about.
Okay.
They'd have to make arrangements to be here if they want the job.
Okay.
And yes, they will be notified up to 7. It might be 5 people, but up to 7, because for the record, Jane Weismer talked to every trustee, I believe, and asked every trustee what their thoughts are on the type of person they'd like to see here. I don't have knowledge of anybody else's comments or what they were looking for. So she narrowed that down, and God bless her the way she did it. She narrowed that down to be able to bring forward at least 5 and up to 7 applicants. There may not be 7, there may be 5. And so for us to actually do an interview in public at a meeting, and the meeting will be an agenda item. Okay. Thank you very much.
Chair, if I may?
Sure, go ahead.
Just point of clarification, it's we spent a lot of time in discussing this with Jerry and keeping this to a group of 5 because of the open meeting and the amount of time that's going to be invested in this. I'm a little concerned that we're trying to push beyond getting 5 people here and candidate overwhelm. We've hired a professional to go find us qualified people. I don't think we need to be spending time and money to bring in more than 5.
We don't know the application. The deadline for the application is still open, so I am unable to answer your question whether or not there's 5 or 7 people. It's still open. There's people still applying, and there's still people being vetted to see if they meet the qualification, the standards to be interviewed. And so, so I couldn't tell you that right now.
Well, I mean, as a board, we voted specifically to cap it at 5 under the advice of our council in an open meeting. I'm just concerned. We're amend that vote.
Okay, Council Wells, do you remember that we kept?
Sorry, you broke up there.
Jerry?
What did he say?
I didn't hear the question.
Go ahead and repeat your question or comment, Trustee Wilson.
Council Welt, the last meeting, we were very explicit about capping it at 5 people because of it being an open meeting. Under your advice and extensive discussion with the board, that we don't want to be bringing in more than 5 to open meeting, and we should be relying on the experts we've hired to go out and find us the best minimum 3, but maximum of 5. And now that we're discussing going up and above that 5, that's not what we as a board voted on last time. Do we need to amend that vote to allow for more to be brought in?
Yes, as I understand from Robin, that the motion was that you would bring in a minimum of 3, but as I recall, the language is hopefully or perhaps 5, and that was what the motion was. So if you're anticipating bringing in 10, then yes, you would have to amend that motion. Whoever voted in favor of it can move to amend it to increase it if that's your desire.
Trustee Wilson, if I may, let me clear this glass of mud. The motion to bring in finalists, the last people that we're going to actually select to get hired, was no more than 5.
Correct.
What triggered the meeting before that meeting was this opinion that our legal counsel gave us about interviewing candidates.
Right.
And so that we did not put a limit on the amount of candidates that we would interview.
Oh, great, Chair. I'm fine with it either way. I just want to make sure we were covered.
Yeah, so
Thank you.
so clear as mud, the motion was to the finalists, the people that are actually going to say, okay, here's your job, when can you start? No more than 5, but I think we're looking at probably 3 at least, no more than 5. But everybody else that rises to the top, they would get their first meeting in December, and the finalists would be in January with 3 people. So under that discussion, Jerry, I don't believe there needs to be an amendment to the motion.
Is that correct? I don't think the last motion, I feel more comfortable if the maker of the motion or someone who voted in favor would include that you will do as I think Elizabeth said, a semifinalist of up to 10 will be interviewed by the board, and then the finalists will be 3 to 5.
Chair, would you like me to just amend the motion from last meeting to cover that semifinal round?
That would do it.
Hang on before you do it. Go ahead, Trustee.
Just because I was involved in it, because I really wanted, from my experience in the first and the last search, the company we had, or the team, it was a husband and wife, only brought us like 3 candidates, period. That's all we ever saw. And I didn't feel like we had a really good opportunity to see what was out there and to choose from. So that's why I was somewhat adamant that we have as many people come as possible, for us to see. And in the discussion that went on, the original discussion, if I remember it right, and Allison would have the tapes and could go through it, but I do think that the chair is correct in the fact that he said for the first process that it would be 5 to 7, because Attorney Welp had said we don't want too many, and it needed to be a manageable amount. And I think our acting director also recommended that we don't go, because we had talked about maybe 10, and that was just really too much. But the motion that you made was based, I had originally made that the finalists be up to 5, and you reiterated it, said 3 to 5, and I conceded and said that's great, because who knows what we'll come up with. Might only have 2, who knows?
I like the idea more. I just was afraid that we were real careful with council's advice that we don't bring in more than that amount for the public meeting. So why don't we just cover our butts and make a motion for a semifinalist round, and then we can bring in who we want.
It would be wouldn't be a new motion, to be an amendment to the motion.
Yeah, I was going to say if
hang on a second. The amendment to the motion would be
recommends that, let's do it.
2 parts. One, the finalists, no more than 3, and then the finalists, and the semifinalists, 5 to 7. Because what if we don't get 7? We don't want to tie our hands. What if we get more than 7? So 5 to 7 is reasonable.
This would be kind of on a par what we did with the hiring of our HR director.
Thank you very much.
We did have I sat in on all 11, as some of the others did, like Shannon. And we had 11 that we interviewed virtually, identical questions, We had about an hour session with each individual. And then from that, based on our scores and the evaluations we were each required to do, we ended up with the top 3 who we actually saw in person and sat and chatted with individually. And they also got a tour of the building. And in a sense, some of them were familiar with the city, some were not. And so that was a different thing. But that was very smooth.
Well, I defer to all of you that have been through this before, and it sounds very logical to me to do it that way.
Okay, thank you. Hold on one second before you amend your motion. Vice Chair Shannon Bilberry Axelrod, did we miss anything with that amendment to the motion to bring in up to 5 to 7 for the semifinalists and no more than 3 for the finalists?
I think that sounds correct.
Trustee Marilyn Francis Drake, any questions or comments on amending the motion?
No, that sounds good.
Trustee Elizabeth Foyt, we heard from you. Any other further comments?
No, I think we should nail this down and move forward.
Okay, thank you. Jose Luis Melendez, do you have any questions or comments?
No, sir.
Thank you. Trustee Sandra Raymaker, do you have any questions or comments?
No, thank you.
And this is on the amendment to the motion. Dr. Rogers, do you have any questions or comments?
No, I do not.
Okay. Robin Wiley-Munier, we heard from you, but did you have any additional information?
We can't hear you.
I just turned it off. That the finalists are 3 to 5 and the semifinalists are the 5 to 7.
Okay. Trustee Wilson, go ahead with your amendment to the motion.
I'm in the motion from the September meeting regarding executive director interviews. We will have interviews with 5 to 7 semifinalists, followed by finalist interviews with 3 to 5 finalist candidates.
Is there a second on that amendment?
Second.
I'm sorry, who said that? Trustee Robin said second. Benavides, your vote? Can you vote on the motion?
Aye.
Trustee Shannon Bilberry Axelrod, vote on the motion?
Aye.
Trustee Marilyn Francis Drake?
Aye.
Trustee Elizabeth Foyt?
Aye.
Trustee Jose Luis Melendez?
Aye.
Trustee Sandra Raymaker?
Aye.
Dr. Rogers, motion.
Aye.
Vote on the motion? Amendment to the motion?
Aye.
Aye. Trustee Robin Wiley-Munier?
Aye.
And then myself, aye. And then Trustee Wilson, I suspect that's an aye on your own motion. Okay, motion carries. Thank you very much.
With all due respect, Chair Ortiz, I just put in a question to Council Welch. I'm sorry, I don't quite understand, Jerry. Is that a valid motion since it was in reports?
I think because it's really a procedural motion, the chair could do this without a motion of the board. It's really how you're handling the interviews and does not have to be a vote by the trustees. It's just clarifying it. So I'm comfortable if probably to really cover it, it should be handled in old business, which is where that kind of thing happens. So if you want to just defer that and do a quick vote in old business, it may be better, but I think it would stand even now.
So, Attorney Welt, you want us to do this motion again under old business?
Yeah, Alvin has a valid point. It is technically old business, not under your report. Again, because it's procedural, I don't really have any heartburn, but since it's been raised, why don't we just do it in old business?
Yeah, you got it. You got it. Okay, thank you so much. Then we'll do it again. All right, moving on. That is what I had for the director's chair's report. Excuse me. Library reports.
Chair, I'd like to add, if you're going to have more than 7 to 10, if you remember the people that we did the last interview, I would suggest that you do no more than 4 in a day. It can be very tiresome if you remember.
I would concur.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's very tiresome. So if you do 4, if you do 10, remember you're going to have to spread it out. It's very tiresome to interview that many people.
Okay. Well, we'll go through that process with Jane Weismer. Okay. Thank you so much, Director. Chair's reports. Your report, first of all.
Okay. Thank you. We just had the departure of our library operations director last week, and I'd like to introduce Leo Segura as our new acting library operations director. And there he is. I thought he didn't get the memo this morning. Leo has been with the library district for over 23 years. Leo.
Leo Segura, acting library operations director, for the record.
So just tell us a little bit about yourself, Leo, for
Okay.
those who don't
So
know.
I've been with the district for 23 years. Started out as what we used to call a hub sub. That way I could get my feet wet, learn about public libraries, and work in more than one location and meet different people. From there, I transitioned into reader service. And then I was the reference department head at West Las Vegas, then promoted to reference department head at Sahara West Library. After that, I was the Laughlin branch manager for a short stint, and then came over to West Las Vegas, where I was branch manager for just over 10 years. Did a lot of community building and worked there with some great people. And then got the regional library operations manager job a little over 2 years ago. Opportunity to work in admin under some great mentors like former Director Schember, Carlotta Dickerson, who'll be retiring on Saturday, and of course Fred and Danielle and everybody else in the VC. And then was the acting assistant library operations director for a couple months, and now I'm the acting library operations director. Here to do what we can to make sure the transition goes smoothly.
Anyone have any questions for Leo? Thank you, Leo.
Thank you, Fred.
Thank you, Leo.
Okay, regarding Trustees Fort request for the library district financial update, as she was asking for last week, last board meeting, Acting Financial Services Director and CFO Foresto Caballas will present a full financial report at our November board meeting, along with the end of the year financial statements. You should also be aware that we have also loaded the budget book and the diligent. And if you turn to a few pages in there, you'll notice that we have again sustained our financial budget award, our second budget award, if I'm correct for us though. And so we are award-winning budget presentation, and I'd like to give a round of a hand to the financial services staff. Thank you, guys. Okay, bringing you up to date, approximately 47 vest departures, and we've had, since that time, we've had approximately 42 people to leave the district. It's normal attrition. So we're in pretty good position with the number of people that have left total. That is kind of matching closely to what we need in the number of people that should be remaining. We're not exactly at 100%. We're more like, if I remember correctly, it's something 55, maybe 60% of people coming in. Leo would have to update me the next time we meet with you at the next board meeting. For the most part, like I said, we have work for everyone. We have a business level rising, and we're stabilizing operation by only filling critical positions. One project that we're working on now is looking at our new business of digital program production. We see this as a growing part of our work in the years to come, and are looking forward to putting in place a legal and production framework to provide a wide variety of virtual programs. That's going to take a while, but I'm hoping to get that before I leave, a framework working so that we could start utilizing YouTube and a website and et cetera. We're working with branding and marketing, and hoping that we can set up some kind of framework where we make sure that anything that goes on those sites under the name of the library have been vetted by staff. I want to remind the trustees of a couple of special events that are happening soon. You saw the presentation by Jaime Cruz on the Business Hub. Opening is on October 21st at 11 a.m. at Sahara West Library. You will receive invites to attend virtually or in person. If you plan to attend in person, Allison would like to be able to RSVP you. The Adult Learning Program will be hosting its graduation of students from the online Career High School on November 17th at 6 p.m. at the Clark County Library. You will be receiving an invitation from that soon. Allison would like to get responses to her requests for your availability for the executive director interviews. I think most of you have already confirmed that you have December the 3rd and 4th on your calendars. And if that day doesn't work, or if you have more people than the 8 people, we suggest that you add another date, because you're going to need time to calculate your scores and make a selection and who you want to invite, etc. Also today, last week, the governors set out a new guidelines for events. We spent a couple hours, well, maybe an hour and a half, because Matt was talking, so maybe we dropped it to an hour. Was that right, Matt? We cut you short? Yes, okay. But anyway, we had a big meeting, and Matt had a big presentation, and we went through the governor's new guidelines, and we have some points of contentions, not point of contentions, but we have some points that we need to research with our council, and then we're going to present. I think we're going to present something at the next board meeting regarding this, or is it? Okay, if we have all of the answers to all the legal questions, points that we can work out, we will present something at the next board, what we can do at the library district. Also, I would like to point out that we went through the board report last time, and I want to make sure that all of the trustees understand that we, Trustee Ford asked for legal fees regarding that we present something about the legal fees, and what we did was we presented in the financial services report. If you have a chance, and if you have had a chance to read your report, you'll see it there. If there was anything else that you'd like for us to do, that was our understanding, that you wanted to have a.
Well, I wanted to know, first of all, did we have some type of contractual agreement with him, whether it's monthly, yearly, per hour? I don't know. I did see the single line item that you put in, and I saw what we've spent this year plus what we had budgeted for a year, and how little of it we had spent so far, which is very nice. I think we've spent about $14,000, something like that, this year to date. What is his hourly remuneration amount? That probably should have been fleshed out to us rather than kind of embedded in with some other stuff. So
it's $2.25 an hour.
Pardon me?
He said his rate.
$2.25 an hour.
$2.25. Okay, thank you.
Does that answer your question?
It does for that, and I believe we will be pursuing a contractual agreement.
Okay. Yes,
Thank
and
you.
that's correct. We will be looking at that at the next.
That's for his protection as well as ours.
Yes. Okay. But we did. That does answer your question until we get to the.
It does now. I still a mystery to me why we didn't talk about this at the last meeting out loud.
Okay. So we hopefully we wanted to make sure we answered your question. And
you have now.
And to any board members, we really try to make every effort to understand the questions that you're asking us, and try to get back all the information that you're requesting of us, if it's possible to get it back at the very next meeting. Just like I think it was Trustee Wally Mune asking for a financial update. It would be better if we didn't do it this particular time, because we don't have enough information until we do it into the November report. And that's the report that will have not only financial statement update, we'd have the June 30th audit report. That's the Finance and Audit Committee meeting. So we'll have the reports there. for the ending June 30th, where we ended up the year with. We will have the first quarter review, actually first 4 months. We'll be able to show what our trends are in the revenues and what our trends are in expenditures. And we're going to probably most likely do a projection, what we believe for the end of the fiscal year and what the next fiscal year may look like. But I caution you, and Fresto, both Fresto and I will caution you. We can only say what the rest of the year can be through June 30th, and it would be risky of us to try to predict what July 21st through June 30th, 22 would be on our part. But that's
for a second. If Elizabeth, if you want to know anything more about the other law firms that we've hired, how they work, how we pick them, feel free to call them before the next meeting. I'm happy to give you any information you need.
Thank you so much. That's very kind.
Okay, thank you. That's the end of my report. Does anyone have any questions for me? Okay.
Yes, Chair.
Go ahead, Brian.
This might be better suited for Betsy.
Actually, let me call everybody real quick. Okay. Thank you. So, Trustee Wilson, is there any director that you'd like to call forward and ask a question of?
I'm not sure if this is better for Mr. James or for Betsy Ward. Just a status update on BiblioCommons. We're now, 2 months since we discovered the analytics not functioning properly. I've not heard any update on it, and we're living in a world that's gone all online, and we can't tell the difference between library staff turning on the computers here in the morning and somebody checking out a book online. So I know we're looking at a new contract with them. Just kind of a status update for what's going on and what leverage we have to pressure them to get them to actually fix something kind of critical here.
Fred, does that go to IT or does it go to Betsy?
Who's handling the contract? Betsy, you still handling the contract? Or could you come up and update the board, please?
Is she here?
Yes, she's in the back.
Okay.
She's in the back in the dark.
Good evening. I apologize that we have not been able to communicate with you, but we've been instructed that we are not to communicate with board members regarding work-related items. So that's why we have not been in touch with you.
So he still has a question, if I may. Brian, you want to ask her the question?
Well, that just brought up a whole new question.
Didn't you read that bulletin that came out that said we weren't supposed to communicate? It came out of Fred's office. Allison sent it out to us.
First of all, let's stick.
Okay.
Let's stay on point here. Everybody works for the director, and so any questions should always be made to the director, and then he sends it out to his staff. So then now in a meeting, he's allowed his employee to answer the question, and so there's nothing secretive. That's the way it works in most businesses. I mean, you don't have an employee who's a busboy answering financial questions for a restaurant, right? And I'm not demoting her. That's just the way it works. And so we're not preventing employees from answering questions, but it needs to be vetted with the director before a response is given out. Brian, any comments, questions?
Well, to that point, I'm pretty uncomfortable with an issue that was brought to me and asked for expertise on, and then that issue was just dropped. And that's what I see as an issue that was just dropped and let go. That is a pretty critical issue that this board that's spending a large sum of money to bring a property online to our community, and we don't know how that thing is working and are cut off from insight to it working. And nobody in our branch or in our staff understands what's going on with it and why it didn't work. And the company we're paying a lot of money doesn't understand it. And then the person they come to for help on it, just halfway through the process, is cut off from it. Separate from the contract going on with them, it feels to me like something's trying to be hidden. Makes me a little uncomfortable as a member of the board when I feel like now staff coming from the director down is trying to hide a problem with a vendor that we're spending a lot of money with.
I would, as the director, I assure you I'm not trying to hide anything from any board member on this board. I assure you that what we need is a little bit more cooperation from the board so that when things are asked of an employee, I know about it and I make sure those things get done. If I don't know about it and it doesn't get done, you look at me. So we need to have a little cooperation from the board, work through the chairperson. The chairperson works with me to make sure we get all this information back. It is very difficult having information going from many different board members to staff, and then this person has to be responsible for that response if it doesn't come back. Now, when you said there was an issue, Betsy did not bring that issue to me. I don't know if IT knew about it, but I didn't know about it. I don't even know if any other members on the EC know about it. But that particular issue that you knew about, I had no clue.
Well, we'll have to pull the minutes from 2 months ago when we discussed the Biblio contract, and I brought that issue to your attention at that time specifically because we had a contract to renew, and we had a discussion in this very room in depth about it, going into not wanting to sign a new contract with them while we had this major underlying issue.
And that major lining issue, Betsy knew about that major lining issue. She had already constructed the contract. We were in a contract whether we liked it or not. I worked with with our council to try to eliminate this contract as much as we could. We had no choice. We were locked into a contract. And Betsy got us locked into that contract.
No, we all voted, the board.
The contract was.
The board had approved.
The contract was already. It was an automatic renewal automatically. We were stuck in that contract.
With all due respect, that is not correct.
Well, excuse me, I have a hand up.
Point of order.
Was changed.
Go ahead, Betsy.
The language in the contract was changed the way Council Well asked it to be.
Okay.
I have been doing this research with LBO Commons, and I just not had a chance to get back with that report, but that is the fact, that language was changed and the auto renewal was not in there.
Okay, thank you very much, Betsy. Let's do this here, not to rehash. We have a problem, Brian, is that correct?
Yes.
And we'd like to get a solution within, I don't know if the solution is going to occur, but a request for solution to the Biblio Commons. If we can put a time frame to contact them or put IT together, put the director together, put Betsy together.
Stand back up again.
And
Guess I have to stand.
just so we can find a solution to this problem.
It really needs to be heard.
Okay, so we'll get to you in just a second. So, Director, is that something we can do?
We can work on it, and I still ask that the board works through the chair and me directly so that I'm on top of what's going on.
Okay, so let's do it in 10 days if we can do that as a priority. Go ahead, Trustee Robin Wadley-Mulier.
Thank you very much, Chair. First of all, I concur with the request that all questions, that's always been our practice, is to go through. We went through Dr. Heason, and usually he just deferred us to the department, like I would contact you, then Mr. James, with finance and stuff. But that is the proper protocol, and we should follow that. But what I was quite concerned over the incident that happened 2 meetings ago with the Biblio Commons issue, and when you brought up what you did, and because I'm not a real techie person, for someone like you to raise a concern, that sent a flag to me as well. And so I asked for the minutes from the meeting back in 19 when we did the contract, 17 when we did the contract with them. So I went through all those minutes. First of all, there was a team, a number of people, including Danielle and others listed. And I think that we need to bring those minutes back to us and read them. I didn't bring them tonight to do that because I didn't think we were going to go there with this. But we approved the contract. It was presented to us to approve, us meaning the board and the members. Creer was on the board at that time. That's how long ago it was. Everybody approved it. There was a team that approved it. It went through the management. It went through everything to be approved. We approved the money and everything else. And we owe Miss Ward an apology for she was thrown out as a sacrificial lamb at that meeting, that it was all her. Now, I don't know her. I don't know what exactly her complete responsibilities are, but we approved the contract. Dr. Heeson recommended us, and it had revisions, and Council Welch was involved and with us and never raised any concerns at that meeting, not in the minutes or anything else. So this is an issue. It's a bigger issue than Trustee Wilson going to Mr. James. There is a big issue here with this, and we've spent a lot of money, and we've spent a lot of money on other things and the PR department, and I have great concerns over this.
Okay, Trustee Rodney.
And mounting more. Thank you for hearing me.
Thank you very much. So obviously it's not agendized for that discussion, so we'll add that to the next meeting for discussion. Is that okay with you, Trustee Rodney? Robin? Yes. Okay. Okay, thank you. So now back to, thank you. And so is back to your issue, Trustee Wilson, the issue of putting people together, get an answer like in 10 or 15 days of what our plan of attack, plan of solution, and director also.
This is a 2-month-old issue. I have a hard time believing we don't know the answer. Somebody in this room right now. Okay. In all honesty, I don't believe that I think that the person who knows the answer is in this room and is just being told not to relay the answer. Because there's no way Biblio hasn't responded to their support ticket system that they can't close a ticket until it's been satisfactorily approved by a member of staff in this library. So there's an open ticket sitting in Biblio that's either been still open, waiting on us to answer back to them, or it was closed out with the approval of staff here. Somebody knows that right now.
If I could ask Al, IRT, are you aware of anything on Biglio where there's a
Thank you, Betsy.
ticket?
I was going to take the microphone.
No, unfortunately, I'm not involved in that contract or the management of it.
Okay, thank you.
So the way Biblio Commons works is it's hosted and managed by them. So that's why IT is not involved really at all. It's really managed by Biblio Commons and my department. So if you'd like to know a little bit more about where that ticket stands, Ryan Simino can certainly address it. He's been working with them. But the ticket has been dormant because we have not been able to get back with you to discuss the problem. And if I could just say, there's not a fundamental problem with the Biblio Commons software. This has to do with a back-end issue. It has to do with tracking use. So it's not that Biblio Commons is fundamentally flawed. It has performed incredibly for us. It's an amazing website. I hope Trustee Wilson would agree with that.
No, I absolutely agree. And I know in the last ticket response from them, because I'm included on it, they proposed a solution, asked for feedback from us.
Right.
This was an acting issue that before you took over as director, Fred, that you took over. This was an ongoing issue I was brought into to help with, and then just dead silence. And I asked about it a month ago, and here we are a month later. I asked about it in this open forum, and I'm a month later without an answer. And quite frankly, if you can't tell, I'm getting upset about it. I'm getting real upset about being blown off, because in the private sector, there'd be unemployed people over this already right now.
I'm sorry personally that you feel that way, and I'm sorry that you're upset. But there's a lot more to this than you realize, and I just happen to be in the seat at this particular time. This contract went through Jerry Welch. Jerry sent back edits, comments, the way this contract should have been done. And my understanding from Jerry Welch is that there were things in that contract that got approved, that Jerry did not recommend, edits that were not made. There were things in this contract that what I saw, that when Biglio Commons came up back in 2017, asked to be paid $1 million up front before they would do any work. I said, no way that this was going to happen. I went to, at the time it was Ron. I said, Ron, we're not going to pay out $1 million to this company. We're going to pay out progress payments to this company. And that was one of the things within the contract that we got changed. So there was a lot of things that went on. I had completely.
Let me stop you there, Director.
May I complete and finish what I have to say, please?
Sure.
Thank you. So I forgot that I even made a suggestion to that contract, and to that particular contract, the only part of that contract that I was a part of was the payment schedule and nothing else. I did only reviews to make sure that from the financial standpoint that we had the cash for it, and I made the payment. So the only other time that I came aware of this contract that was still outside was when you mentioned there was a particular problem. When we went to the contract, we found that there was a continuation. If you did not submit a 30-day whatever, you were locked into the next year's contract, and we were locked into that contract for the next year. So the only thing that we could renegotiate was the time frame, and we were trying to get out of the contract. So we said, okay, we will renegotiate 18 months. Jerry went through that contract with us. Jerry, our counsel, helped us to renegotiate this contract so that we're in the position to get out of this contract, and so that we're not stuck in another automatic renewal. So now, this issue that you have, I didn't know the significance of the issue. I can understand your anger, but I'm just now getting up to the point, and Betsy is not being straightforward and honest with you.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to cut off conversation because we're getting way off track. We started off with a problem with Biblio Commons, and so we need to find a solution. I encourage us that we have a conversation away from this meeting.
I believe Betsy was just about to tell us that we're
no,
waiting on the feedback for that answer, and Mr. James wanted to go off on the contract.
Thank you, Brian. Betsy, any comments that you make, please direct them exactly to his question. Did Biblio Commons respond on that ticket that's open?
Yes, they are waiting to speak to Trustee Wilson.
Okay, so that is not the procedure. They need to talk to the director with the trustee. Okay, that the contract is with the district, not with a trustee. So with all respect, that's the procedure. Okay, Betsy?
Mm-hmm.
So please remind them, please set up a meeting with the director, and then the director can invite Trustee Wilson. So that's all they're waiting for. For the record.
That's correct. That's what they're
We
waiting
do
for.
it in the next 5 days.
We can do it tomorrow.
Okay, well, you have to find out their schedules.
They're anxious to get this resolved also.
Okay, so Trustee Wilson, is that okay?
Sooner the better.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the item has already been, this item back? What you have, we talked about 5 different things. Which item? Your phone, your microphone.
The original contract?
I want that whole thing brought back that was approved in 2017, because it lists all the people that participated in reviewing the contract and everything.
We'll bring it back for next meeting. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, Trustee Wilson, is there any other reports that you'd like to bring back?
No, thank you.
Okay. Trustee Robin Wadley Munoz, is there any reports that you'd like to be back absent this one? We've already had a full discussion on this one.
No, not at this time. I'm trying to find something else.
Okay, Dr. Rogers, are there any reports that you'd like to have brought forward and discussed?
No, not at this time.
Thank you very much. Trustee Sandra Raymaker, is there any reports that you'd like to have discussed or brought forward?
Not at this time.
Okay, thank you very much. Trustee Jose Luis Melendez, is there any reports that you'd like to have brought forward and discussed?
I don't want to bring any reports forward, but I do want to just want to give a shout out to Director Serpico for his report. It had some really nice information. The way the information was presented, the dashboard, it really broke out some of the details, and so I just wanted to say thank you for that report. It's a nice, fresh way to look at reports and the work that he's doing in his new role here with us. So I just wanted to thank the director for that.
Thank you very much. Trustee Elizabeth Foyt, are there any reports that you'd like to call forward and discuss?
No, I did review the security report, and it's kind of nice to see a 24% decrease from the prior year in incidences, and that makes for a safer, calmer, happier library environment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Trustee Kelly Benavides, is there any reports or like to be forward and discuss?
Didn't want to bring it back, but did want to piggyback on Trustee Melendra's Director Serpico. I just want to commend you. I know that you kind of hit the ground running. I appreciate that. I know sometimes it takes a little bit of time to get your feet wet and get settled in, and you definitely didn't take any time to, go in there. And I want to I love your reports. They're very clear, and we're glad to have you, and thank you for accepting the position.
Thank you very much. Vice Chair Shannon Bilber-Axelrod, any reports that you'd like to discuss or bring forward?
I'm going to ditto my fellow board members, Benavides and Melendez, that I was never in doubt that we hired the right person, but, thanks for bringing that home as well.
Thank you very much. And the only thing that I have is Mr. Vino, is just a comment. I saw the security reports. Mr. John Vino is the acting director right now. If there's any issues or any more help that you need in West Las Vegas and Clark County Library, please let us know, because those two libraries seem to attract, not the libraries, but around the libraries, they seem to attract a lot of populations that have a lot of needs beyond our capacity. And so please let us know if you need more resources, or let the director know and see if you need more resources. Okay? Secondly, let's see here. Mr. Rice, you're not getting away here. Please step forward. Mr. Rice, if I can ask, do you have a last day of work?
I do.
What day is it?
It's November 13th. So I do have one more board meeting to attend.
Okay, very good. And so I'd like to congratulate Stephen Rice, and I'll do it again. Number one, I saw in there that the Enterprise Library now has the Las Vegas Boulevard address. Yay, thank you very much.
Yes, sir. And we're in the process, we've issued the purchase order for the new signage, so as soon as that's manufactured, that'll be all.
I was there today, and it was busy.
Personally, as soon as we find money, I'm going to see if we can do a neon sign. I know it's costly, but I know I won't get the vote through, but I'm still going to ask.
Okay.
Next, I really want to thank you for anybody watching, Mr. Rice, single-handedly marshaled through. I know he had help from other people, marshaled through two libraries, which is phenomenal. And it was the right time, right moment. He spent a lot of time away from his family, so I wanted to, before I forget, hopefully I don't forget, I'll say it again in November, but I wanted to thank you for that, the East Las Vegas Library and the Mesquite Library. Tremendous work. Most people would have thrown their hands up and retired, but he did a great job, so thank you again.
Oh, thank you. Very good.
May I add something? The new market tax credit that we went through, that Steve played a significant part in the effect that he had to bend over backwards to meet qualifications under the new market tax credit for the East Las Vegas. And in doing so, between the two projects of East Las Vegas and Mesquite, we got $6 million back from the out of our 20% of our project costs. We received $6 million, and it really was on the effort of everyone, but Steve had to bend over backwards on the East Las Vegas to make it work. So I just wanted to make sure that that was part of the record.
Well, thank you very much. And I had one last comment for Floresto, and I always get your last name out correct. Last name, Caballos. If you notice in your backup, we had zero income for C-Tax. Did I read that correctly? Zero income for C-Tax in August?
Floresto Caballos, acting CFO for the record. Yes, Chair Ortiz, that's correct. For the month of August, we do collect C-Tax, the consolidated sales tax, every month, except it's attributed to a certain month of the year. And I believe the report pointed out that it accrued to the month of June. So for the June CTX, the amount of sales tax collected in June doesn't get to the library district until August. There's about a month lag. And so that's why there's zero consolidated sales tax for the fiscal year ended, for the current fiscal year, which just began on July 1st, because the latest CTX we collected, or for the month of August, was attributed to June. So that would go towards fiscal year 20 CTX revenue. So that is accurate.
So thank you. And if I may use an analogy, that is like you or me or I not getting a check for a month. So the library did not get a check for a month. And so we did the right thing in readjusting our budget and readjusting our projections. And congratulations. Thank you. I just wanted to point that out. So we did not get a paycheck, if you will, or combined tax, alcohol, beer, casino, all that, dry cleaning. We did not get any money coming in, so that's going to affect us. And they've already included that in the projections. So thank you.
Cherokee, just to clarify, we do collect sales tax revenue every month. It's just that it's attributable to different months. And so that's why, because we present those reports on an accrual basis, it's not reflected for the month of August.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much.
Right, you're welcome.
Okay, having said that, no other reports being asked to be called forward. Trustee Wilson, will you, in the unfinished business, will you
need a motion to accept the reports?
I'm sorry, thank you very much. I'll entertain a motion to accept the reports. We'll make the motion.
So moved.
Trustee Robinson, accept the motion for a second.
Second.
Trustee Luis Melendez seconds. All in favor to accept the reports, say aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Allison, everybody voted yes. Thank you so much. Motion to accept the reports. Unfinished business. Trustee Wilson, will you remake your amended motion? Yes. Revote on that?
I move to amend the interview process for the executive director motion, that we will have a semifinalist round of 5 to 7 candidates, followed by a finalist interview round that will be 3 to 5 candidates.
Thank you very much. And who made the second motion earlier?
You mean who seconded?
Who seconded? Thank you.
I did.
Oh, Robin, will you
I'll
second?
Second it.
Seconded by Robin Wally-Munier. This is under unfinished business. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. But I believe it was Trustee Rainmaker who seconded it.
Okay. Trustee, did you second that motion? Okay, so let's leave Robin Wally-Munier. Thank you so much. Nobody opposed. Allison, everybody in favor under unfinished business of amending that motion. Thank you so much. All right, we're almost through unraveling this noodle here. New business. There's a discussion of possible board action to engage a lobbyist search for the 2021 legislative session. Director, who do we call forward?
Danielle, you want to take this for me on this recommendation?
Danielle Milam, Acting Deputy Director for the record. So, as we have done in previous legislative sessions, we do hire a lobbyist to represent our interests. And in this legislative session, working with Trustee Bilbray Axelrod, we identified the firm of the Griffin Company, and they have submitted a proposed letter of engagement, the terms of which are in front of you, basically for $50,000, which is similar to previous lobbyist engagement fees. And the term to be for the legislative session, but we will begin engagement with them upon your vote. And it would go through the end of the session. And let's see. Sorry.
No, I'm sorry, Danielle.
Quite prepared.
I'm sorry, Danielle, I caught you off guard. But
no, that's all right. It's fine. The services that they would offer would be what we have normally received from the lobbyist, and that is, thank you, to present, to come and present information to you in the next board meeting, and then provide bill tracking, issue responses throughout the rest of the session as issues come up. And then the final piece would be to come after the legislative session and brief you at the end of the session as to what happened during the session on the issues that you approve and follow.
Thank you very much. So this is a motion for discussion for possible board action to engage a lobbyist. We don't know the issues yet. They're going to present that at the next meeting. So
I'd like to speak.
let me go down the list here.
Okay.
Okay, Brian Wilson, do you have any questions or comments?
I just think that we should take up 9B before committing money to it. There's really not a point in hiring a lobbyist until we agree there's a need for him to, and what his agenda is.
Okay. Trustee Robin Wiley-Munier, any questions or comments on this item?
Well, I somewhat concur with my fellow trustee, but I know that in previous years of the legislature, there have been items on the agenda that we have had concerns or, wanted a lobbyist to work with. That was the years that we had more money and stuff and had more liquidity. Considering the point you just raised, we didn't even get a paycheck, so to speak, from CTAX, and Lord knows if what goes on with the election, if we're all going to be back in quarantine, nobody's going to get to go anywhere or do anything. So we have no idea, flu season's coming, et cetera, et cetera. I just don't think that we should be out hiring a lobbyist. I think that the legislators would kind of look at us like, and the union would say, what are you doing? To spend that kind of money on a lobbyist just for items. We can, we have to tighten our belts some places. We're worried about having to lay off people and things. I just don't think it's a good idea to hire a lobbyist this year at all. I think it looks like we're wasting money, and $50,000, that's $10,000 a month. Really?
Thank you. Any more questions?
I'm saying, that seems like a lot of money. That's an annual salary for many of our employees.
If I can respond, we've, with the exception of last year, we engaged R&R who did it for.
Who's talking?
It's Fred. Oh. Fred, I'm sorry. Director James, we have engaged a lobbyist for every legislative session, and what we're paying is exactly what we paid all the rest. Robert Crow, with the exception of R&R, R&R did it for $1, but we got dollars worth of work. And so we didn't get what we needed out of them. But with Robert Crow, we have been their client for so long that they did not represent us the way we should have been represented. The reason why we put the representative of hiring the lobbyist first is that we wanted to tell you what the lobbyist was doing and what they're going to be hired, and then the following part B was to tell you what it is that we wanted them to do for us and the items that we wanted them to keep abreast of while the legislative session is in session. We're not paying any more money than we normally do. They're going to be there starting with us from November the 1st, and they're going to work through the legislative session which usually ends in the end of May, but if there's a special session, they'll work through for almost a year for us. This is really a good company. They came recommendation from, we work with Trustee Shannon at Bilberry Axelrod. She recommended them, and I've heard of them, and a number of people have heard of them. So they have a good reputation. They're up in Reno, and they work with people that work with the legislative. When I say the library, what's that name for the library up there, Danielle?
The Washoe County?
No, the state library.
Oh, State Library and Archives.
They have a good relationship with them. And so some of the things that we need to be done, that we need to try to accomplish, we would have to have someone that have a good reputation and work with the state librarian to make sure that we can get these things done. So the price of $50,000 It's nothing that we have not paid. We paid this during the recession. We paid this similar money during the recession. So what I'm saying is that we need to make sure that we have someone in that can represent us and that they're looking forward to representing us.
Thank you.
What, may I finish?
Okay, go ahead.
Respond?
2 minutes.
With all due respect, I'm fully aware of what a lobbyist does. I was a lobbyist for a number of years for a state nonprofit organization, and I know that we have had the lobbyist all these years previously. I know that we weren't satisfied with some of the different ones that we've had and for the money paid. I have concerns that we have a legislator and a member of our board recommending a company as well. I didn't want to have to say that, but I do have concerns over that. It's not clean, as they say. And the bigger issue for me is, just like with the union contract and everything else, is it's not the $50,000 that we couldn't pay or that's higher than somebody else. I mean, I'm not like bargain shopping at the dollar store. What I'm saying is we just simply, I don't think it puts us in a good light showing that we're spending $50,000 for a lobbyist. And if we get to point B, I really don't think that we are looking good to spend money to do what point B is. But I just want to let you know that I am fully aware, and I know that you're very good at pinching pennies, but we're having to pinch all the pennies. And as you said, we didn't even get a paycheck. We don't know what's going to happen with this next round of the flu and the virus. I mean, anywhere we can save 50,000 is.
Well, let me.
Thank you, Robin.
If I may respond, since I was called out directly, Chair.
Yes, hang on a second, Shannon. Please direct. This is a conversation between the board and not the director, because he's already made his pitch. Now it's up to us to have a discussion between us. So the comments are between us. And Trustee Vice Chair Shannon Bilbrey-Axelrod, any questions, comments, or responses?
I just would like to say for the record that I was actually asked in a board meeting, and we discussed it, if I would look into this. So I didn't do this just off a whim. I was asked in a board meeting, in a public meeting, if I would do this. I have no relationship with them at all. I know their reputation. That's what I know. I know that they're across the street from the legislative building. I know that they have good contacts with the people, and that's where my recommendation came from. So I find it very insulting that anyone would question the reason that I brought that forward. I was asked to do this by the board.
Thank you. Duly noted, Shannon. Now, are you any discussion on securing a lobbyist? Any comments?
Yeah, I let me say again, if you're not at the table, you're going to be on the menu. So they are going to be looking to find money wherever they can. And I will not be on the board after when I get up there. So I'll try and do what I can for you guys as a friend, but I will not be a board member. So I'll be just a public citizen who's working up there. For all the fame and fortune, right? So I think it's very, very short-sighted to not have a lobbyist, because believe me, all the unions have lobbyists. All the other, the city municipalities all have lobbyists, most of them on staff full-time. So I just think that's incredibly short-sighted. And I'll do what I can, but I can't make promises. I'm not there to just solely look out for the library, which, I tried, but, we got stuff stuck in the 2017 session. And that's why we decided to go elsewhere, because our lobbyists weren't on it. So that's my opinion. And like I said before, I have no relationship with them. I was asked to do this, and that's why I did, by the board.
Thank you very much. Dr. Rogers, your opinion on securing a lobbyist. Any questions or comments?
I think it's in our best long-term interest to have representation in this next upcoming session. I think it's going to be a lot of casualties, and if we don't have someone exclusively representing our interests, I think we will be worse off for it.
Thank you very much. Trustee Sandra Raymaker, any questions or comments on securing a lobbyist before we go to a vote or discussion or questions?
Well, I agree. We definitely need a lobbyist. You never know what's going on, and I've been up there a few times as well. And a lobbyist and a good, respectable lobbyist is important. And I feel we did, at an open meeting, ask Shannon Dover Axelrod to do this for us. And, her giving us back a recommendation should not be putting her on the spot of any kind of thing or saying that she's doing something that she shouldn't be doing when we asked her to do it. So, but I believe we should move forward with the lobbyist, and if we've got a good recommendation of someone who's good, we should go with them.
Thank you very much. Trustee Jose Luis Melendres, any questions or comments on whether we should obtain a lobbyist?
I support that we do have the lobbyists. I think it's going to be critical to what my fellow trustees have said about the fact that this is going to be a very critical session, and to not have a voice at the table, especially one who knows what they're, they know what they're doing and looking out for the good of this library is going to be critical. So like Shannon said, that we don't end up on the menu. And so I want to thank Shannon for her recommendation, because I think that was solid work on behalf of this board, and I fully support the hiring of a lobbyist to represent the library.
Thank you very much. Trustee Lutherfoy.
In hiring the lobbyist, we really need to define specifically what we want them to do. There are 2 items that are presented here in the paperwork from the library that was generated by the employees, not the board, that indicate that for the legislative year, there are 2 matters that require legislative action. Library district name change. As the district develops a branding campaign, it is likely to involve a name change. We have had and paid for a very expensive branding campaign that's kind of on hold right now as we go through the pandemic dollar reduction. Secondly, a change to the minimum requirements for qualifications of the executive director. Well, whatever individual we hire in our current search, we are intending to keep that particular individual in place, or anticipating that we will be able to keep them in place for 6, 8, 10 years. I don't think either one of those items that I've just referred to need to be points of impact or interest, and I believe that both of them came from employee-driven rather than the board seeking this or perceiving the need for this. The board is a citizen committee to create and oversee not only funding, but policy, procedure, and legislative requests. I vote against these particular items being included in anything that we hand to our lobbyist as a directive. Thank you.
Thank you. And then
if I could just jump in really quickly, I apologize.
Go ahead, Shannon.
These are 2 BDRs that have already been filed. So these will be BDRs that will be coming forward. So I just wanted to let you know that it's nothing to do with the staff. These are 2 BDRs that have been filed, a bill draft request for these 2 issues.
By whom?
The question
By me.
is, if we know.
By me.
Okay. Thank you very much. So, no, because Robin.
I did not.
Robin, point of order.
Wait a minute. No,
Robin, point of order.
I have to. She got to jump in. I'm going to jump in.
Robin, point of order, please.
I did not mean she. We were wrong in asking Trustee Bill Bray to recommend someone. That put her in. I didn't say I felt that way. I said people have expressed that and could perceive it. It's not clean. I have known the Bill Bray family for a long time, and Trustee Shannon Bill Bray. It was not reflective on her. It was reflective on the fact that we put her in that position. We should not have done that, and we should also be able to discuss a company that we want to hire if we choose to hire one.
And that's what we're doing here today. As far as the point of order, we're not discussing the items. The items will be next time. This is the company. So please bear with me. We don't want to get in a sidebar here.
No.
Thank you so much. And I know everybody's passionate. Thank you so much. Marilyn Francis Drake, discussion on whether we should secure a lobbyist for this coming session.
I know I'm naive about all of this, but it seems sad to me that we go through all this election and elect the people that we want to represent us the best and so on. And then they have to, not anything against them, they have to have other people coming in to push other agendas and different agendas for people and so on. It almost seems like that it gives them no oomph at all. No, they don't even count. It's just whoever can afford the most expensive lobbyists and so on. And I know that sounds very naive and very, I suppose, Midwest, whatever. But I feel that's the way I feel about it. That being said, we probably need to get in there with the rest of the dogs and have our own person and so on. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you very much. Trustee Wilson, did I ask you?
I just wish the order was reversed, Chair.
You gotcha.
I'm not opposed to a lobbyist. I'm opposed to hiring one without knowing why we're hiring them.
Okay, thank you very much. Trustee Kelly Benavides, your comments on lobbyists.
Sure. So everybody knows I've been on this board quite a long time. I think in previous legislation years, we probably didn't need so much or had to focus so much on making sure we had a great lobbyist up there because there was enough pie to go around. I mean, this go around, it's going to be slim pickings, and we need to have, I agree, we need to have a dog in there in the fight. And, so in that aspect, I would move forward in getting our lobbyist on board. Second, I think, as trustees, we all have our specialties, right? We all have, our niches and, come back with a great background. And that's what we bring to the board. So when we ask a trustee to follow through on a certain item because we know that they have, a niche for it or a specialty, I don't think we should ding them when they do what they're supposed to be doing. So I personally would like to thank Trustee Bilbray Axelrod for following through. I know, we sometimes put a lot of on your plate, and so I appreciate you, taking the time to look into, when we ask you to do something. So with that said, that's the end of my comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Well said. My comment is that if whoever received their ballot already or a sample ballot, you'll see on the back, there's a question that asks whether they should amend the Constitution to take away authority from the NSHE, National Higher Education System. So it goes back to the legislature. That's the first shot over the bow, if I can use that analogy. I believe that they're going to come after all the boards because the legislatures, no offense to anybody here present, they want to assume power. Whether it happens or not, I don't know, but they're giving it to the voters. And even though that's NSHE, the National Systems for Higher Education, the university systems, they may try to reach down for us. Secondly, having said that, it is really critical. Lobbyists have a knack for sneaking in information and bills that affect us. And unless you're staying on top of that daily, it is really tough to do. I tried and failed miserably for Councilman Coffin. But a lobbyist, really, that's their responsibility to tell us, hey, this is going on, we need to do this. Because we're doing the right thing for our community. We're building networks, empowering people, we're building libraries. And that movement has to continue, in my opinion. That's what we were tasked to do on behalf of the citizens of Las Vegas and Clark County. And so it would be a disservice if we were not aware that other people were trying to undermine that without fully understanding what our role is in this community. And so with that, I am also in favor of a lobbyist. So having heard that, any other comments? Very 1 minute for anybody else. Anybody comments, follow-ups? Okay. Let's see, Kelly Benavides, would you, since you're on the positive side, would you like to make a motion?
Sure, give me 1 second.
Sure.
Motion to authorize the library district acting executive director to engage the Griffin Company for professional services related to the 2021 Nevada legislative session in an amount not to exceed $50 million, subject to review by legal counsel.
Thank you. 50,000.
Yeah.
50,000. Thanks. Is there a second on that motion?
I'll second it.
Second.
Second by Trustee Sandra Raymaker. Any further discussion by anybody? Okay, let me go down the list here. Kelly Benavides, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye for Kelly. Trustee Shannon Bilbrey Axelrod, how do you vote?
Aye.
Trustee Marilyn Francis Drake, how do you vote?
Aye.
Trustee Elizabeth Foyt, how do you vote?
Aye.
Trustee Jose Luis Melendres, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair Ortiz votes aye. Trustee Sandra Raymaker?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Trustee Dr. Rogers, how do you vote?
Aye.
Trustee Rodley getting late, Robin Wadley Meunier. We're going to lunch soon. No. And Trustee Wilson?
Abstain.
One abstention. So 1 no, 1 abstention. The motion carries. Thank you very much. Okay, well, let's move on to the next item.
Chair Ortiz,
Yes, go ahead.
may I suggest that in 9B, getting the impression of the trustees that the only two real legislative items you can discuss are 1 and 2. That other long list doesn't have enough detail, really. In the past, you've appointed a legislative committee, either of the whole or partial, to discuss it as it arrives.
Okay, duly noted. Okay, we'll discuss that under new business, okay? Discussion, I'm sorry, we have a discussion of possible board action to approve the 2021 legislative agenda. Do we want to have the discussion, or do we want to agendize more items at the next meeting to have a full discussion?
I would, Chair, I would recommend that we actually table this for now and see what the next round of BDRs look like. I think that's kind of just a big, we're kind of throwing spaghetti against the wall and see what sticks with these things. But I would be in favor of tabling this for now.
Second that.
Okay, so motion to table by Shannon Bilbrey Axelrod to the next meeting. Second by Brian Wilson.
And it'll be post-election, so that might give us a better idea too.
Okay, that's good. All right, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Is there anybody opposed? Okay, motion carries. Everybody voted in the yes. On discussion for approval of the 2021 Nevada legislative agenda. Okay, announcements. Director, go ahead.
I don't have any announcements.
Okay.
Would you like me, excuse me, Chair Ortiz, Allison Blair for the record, do you want me to read the announcements?
Yes, and then I'm going to go around the table too. Go ahead.
The Sahara West Business Hub grand opening ribbon cutting, and I'm sorry I did not correct the name of the event, will take place on Wednesday, October 21st at 11 a.m. Trustees will get invitations to attend. You can attend either virtually or in person. And you will get direct emails, and you can actually respond on those emails. But if you want to call me as well, that would be great. The next Finance and Audit Committee meeting will be held on Thursday, November 12th at 4:30 p.m. via WebEx, and we will also be in this location. The next board meeting will be held Thursday, November 12th at 6 p.m. via WebEx and also in the Summerlin Library.
Thank you very much. And I'm going to start it off on announcements. What I heard from, let's see here, from Elizabeth Foyt was we please add on the agenda for the next, and I'll help you with the wording, discussion for possible action on contracts for any legal counsels that we have. And we want to formalize them into contracts.
All legal counsel.
All legal counsels. And I'll help you with the exact wording for the agenda. Is that correct, Trustee Foyt?
That sounds great. Thank you so much.
Okay. Brian Wilson, you asked to bring back discussion for possible action the Biblio Commons. Is that correct?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Will that be on the work order for Biblio Commons?
Actually, two things. When we voted on the Biblio contract, it was brought to us for a year. The board voted to extend that 2 to 3 years that Biblio had offered us. I believe I heard you say that you ended up doing 18 months. So I would, as a board, like an explanation of why the director went against the vote of this board and the direction of this board to get 2 to 3 years, locked in at that price.
So discuss.
So I would like to discuss that contract, and also I would like to be very clear on what is going on with the analytics, because in the year I've been here, Betsy and Ryan have reached out and gone above and beyond to keep things going good and be proactive, and halfway through the process of fixing a severe issue to be cut off from them.
And that's something that we're going to work on in the next 7 days. And so please add discussion for possible board action on Biblio Commons contract. Okay. Let's see, financial report. Elizabeth, were you the one that asked for a financial report?
Right, which Fred has indicated, acting executive director has indicated will be coming to us in November, as is tradition.
Okay, so that's coming on anyway.
That would be a part of the Finance and Audit Committee.
Right.
Okay, so let me go down the list here. Trustee Kelly Benavides, is there any items that you'd like to be added for the?
No, thank you.
Vice Chair Shannon Bilbrey Axelrod, is there any items that you would like to be added to the meeting?
No.
Okay. Trustee Marilyn Francis Drake, are there any items that you would like to be added for the next meeting?
Nothing, thank you.
Trustee Elizabeth Foyt, absent the items we talked about, are there any other items that you'd like to be added?
Possibly an update on the foundation.
So we'd like a report from the foundation. You want it,
perhaps grants that are being applied for, donors that are being stopped.
Okay.
Something like that.
So Danielle, you'll contact Kiva or yourself will do that. Thank you. I'm sorry, is Kiva still the chair? Okay, thank you. Kiva Career. All right. Jose Luis Melendres, are there any items that you would like to be added to the agenda?
No, sir, not at this time.
Thank you very much. Trustee Sandra Rainmaker, are there any items that you would like to be added to the next agenda?
Nothing at this time, thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Rogers, are there any items that you'd like to be added to this agenda?
Nothing at this time.
Thank you very much. Trustee Robin Wadley Munier, are there any items that you'd like to be added to this agenda?
Not at this time, but I reserve the right to contact you.
Okay.
And are we having an executive session tonight?
No.
Oh.
We're not having an executive session, no. Okay. And then Brian already got to you. So I do have 2 items that I'd like to add it to the agenda. Discussions for possible board action. The first one is Director James. He was selected, asked to be on, and we approved him to be the acting director, but we never talked about any pay. So a discussion on giving him a bonus. The bonus wouldn't impact his leave, would not impact his retirement account, wouldn't inflate his retirement account. It would be just a bonus, because that's something I think that he merits, having taken this position from a different position. And I don't have an amount, but we can have that discussion at that time, okay? The second item is, I think after being on a lot of boards, I would like to have a discussion for possible board action to have a second employee added to the board, the trustees. And that second employee would be an internal auditor who would work directly for this board of trustees. And so that would be a discussion. And my idea is that they would just do a program audit. Did you follow the policy? Did you collect the right revenue? Did you do the gate count? And then they could also do other audits that we ask them to. An internal auditor. That would be an added employee just for the Board of Trustees. And the City of Las Vegas has that. The Mayor and City Council only have 3 employees, the City Attorney, City Auditor, and City Manager. And I think we're big enough that we do need an internal audit. It's not a got you. It's just that it helps us improve the way we do business. So I'd like to have that as a discussion for possible action to see if the board agrees with me or disagrees, and we'll go from there. Having said that, we want to thank everybody. This is a lively discussion. You guys, I appreciate and value everybody's input. You've done very, very well. We'll continue to do well. Please set aside December for the interviews, and then public comment. At this time, any topics raised under this item cannot be acted upon until notice of the open meeting laws. And the public comment is only good for 3 minutes.
While she's getting that, may I just make a statement?
Sure, go ahead.
I just wanted to point everybody, if you hadn't had a chance to look at the PLA magazine, there's really a great article in here about future designs and stuff about libraries, and in light of the social distancing and all of that. Sorry, Mr. Rice, you're not going to be with us to do this. I think there's some really neat things that newer board members are going to be here for a while could, take a little information from. So I thought it was a great article.
Thank you very much.
Robin, this is Jerry. If you want to talk to me before the board meeting about the process we go through for the contracts, I'm happy to talk to you and give it to you step by step.
Is he talking to me?
All of this.
Thank you. We'll get through that, and I did ask Attorney Welt to think about how a contract would look like, and so he'll bring one forward for us to approve or disapprove. Okay?
Absolutely. But what I was talking about is the contracts for the library that she had some concerns, and I'd like to give her the process. I can do it at the open meeting, but if she wants to talk ahead of time, I'm happy to do that.
So please contact him. Thank you very much. Are there any public comments, Allison?
No public comments, Chair Ortiz.
Thank you. We probably catch the last inning of the Dodgers. Having heard no public comments, there is no executive session at this time. Thank you very much. Meeting adjourned. Be safe, be healthy, and we'll see you next month.